A while ago I played this game named Blasphemous. It looked interesting, so I gave it a shot. I went in completely blind expecting a fun 2D pixel art game, and I was immediately greeted with a lady killing herself. Like 30 seconds into the game. My interest in the game grew as I played more, and I eventually finished the game including the DLC bosses. It was a fun experience and I was really upset that it was over. A few days ago, I got a random Blasphemous boss fight video in my recommendations. A boss that I never encountered before. Turns out, not only did the game release a new DLC months ago, but there's also a confirmed sequel on its way. So I thought, what better time to talk about this underrated gem than now. What I initially noticed about Blasphemous was the incredible art style. This game has some of the best pixel art I've ever seen in my life. Every background, every enemy is incredibly detailed. And everything looks so pleasing and disturbing at the same time. It would be a shame to not talk about the game's atmosphere and aesthetics. Everything in the game has a dark and depressing feel to it. It heavily includes religious themes and iconography. The game takes place in the land of Custodia, where people are extremely religious, to the point of torturing themselves because they feel guilty for existing. Literally. They think suffering and guilt is the key to paradise. All around the map you can see churches, people inflicting pain upon themselves, while being thankful to God because of their pain and suffering. Blasphemous goes into incredible lengths to keep you immersed in its world. Every item has a long-ass vaguely detailed name and description. It's not just golden coins or money. You use Tears of Atonement for your currency. Your sword is named Mea Culpa, which translates to My Guilt. When you die, your respawn animation is angels bringing you back from heaven to finish your mission. The game's art style, along with soundtrack and religious themes, make for a very unique and interesting atmosphere. Even if you don't care about these themes, the way they're executed makes it really interesting and elevates the gameplay. And speaking of gameplay, the game begins with the main character waking up surrounded by thousands of dead bodies wearing the exact same outfit as you, telling the player right off the bat that he isn't special, and it's not going to be easy. The main character is a nameless soldier. Throughout the game, we don't hear a single line of information about our character. We don't even know our own name. Everyone just calls us Penitent One. After the game teaches us some simple platforming and controls, we immediately face off a tutorial boss. More on the bosses later. The combat is actually pretty simple. You attack, dodge the attack, or parry if you can. Easy, right? No! While it sounds simple, Blasphemous is a difficult game, and can be really punishing at times. The combat also heavily relies on memory. You have to get to know your enemy until you can memorize their attack patterns so you can fight back. After that, it's pretty much up to you to win. It's difficult, but fair. And if you mess up, you have no one else to blame but yourself. Unless a bug occurs. Blasphemous has a skill tree and items like prayers, which are spells you can equip, that cost your fervor meter, which is pretty much just your ultimate bar. There is also rosary beads, which offer you different effects on your character. The more you explore and do the side quests, the more you can upgrade your Penitent One. Exploration pays off massively, as sense of progression in this game is really satisfying, and trust me, you're going to need those upgrades. One thing you notice right off the bat is that Blasphemous does not hold your hand. You have to finish it all by yourself. You aren't forced to upgrade your character, but if you want to, you can try. The game's non-linear structure allows you to explore the map and face off the bosses in any order that you like, but still shows you the full wrath of the area without caring about your power level and items. And speaking of the map, every area in the map connects to each other, via shortcuts that you will find after exploring. Backtracking is a huge thing in Blasphemous. Many items you find allow you to access areas you couldn't before, giving you the option to revisit old areas if you want to explore, and possibly improve your gear to have a better chance against bosses are the highlight of Blasphemous. The perfect mix of the grim and dark lore with the fun and challenging gameplay. They are a satisfying conclusion to each area, and a challenging but fair fight. Every boss has an extremely detailed character model. The bosses don't feel repetitive. In fact, most of them have unique mechanics. Some feature platforming, some are heavily parry based, while some others need constant dodging. Because of this, you need to master everything because the next boss fight might heavily include your weakness. The difficulty, atmosphere, and story all come together to form an enjoyable experience. And about the story. Finally got to the story. I have been waiting a long time to talk about this story. The story of Blasphemous perfectly matches the atmosphere of the game, dark, vague, and all about religion. And boy is it vague. I finished this game 3 times and I'm still confused about the whole thing. Everyone talks in this fancy old-timey religious language that can be extremely confusing. I had an idea of what I should do, but everything was just so vague. A while ago I finally decided to ask an explanation in Reddit, and surprisingly I got a lot of responses from the community. So now I get it. I think. Hopefully. And I'm gonna explain it as simply as I possibly can, so bear with me. Years ago, in the medieval times, some idiot begged God for punishment and in return, God brutally twisted his body into a fucking log. This event was named the first miracle and people started to worship it, to the point where they made a big ass church called the Mother of Mothers. The head figure of this church was named Escribar. At some point, Escribar started to doubt the miracle's power and turned his throne on his followers. The miracle did not take kindly to that, and turned him into a giant tree that was set on fire. And after burning for days, there was only a giant pile of ash, with the turned throne at the top. A lot of people tried to climb the mountain of ash, but were swallowed by it and turned into monsters. Our character, the penitent one, is just a nameless soldier that was destined to overthrow Escribar and put an end to the age of the turned throne. Rightfully so, considering he fucked up the entire country and turned everyone into monsters. Escribar was also resurrected as a monster, and he knew that a member of the Brotherhood of the Silent Sorrow, which is the group that our character is in, was destined to destroy him. So he massacred our group, but since we are the chosen one, or the main character basically, with the power of plot convenience, we got resurrected to finish our mission. And I'm going to stop talking now and leave the rest of the story to yourself, so you can form your own opinion and interpretation of it. The vagueness of the story, though can be a little annoying or overwhelming at times, definitely adds to the story. The way I see it, the whole game is about the hypocrisy of religion and the religious monsters it creates. There is a clear criticism on the downsides of religion and how harmful it can be if taken too far. The story is vague because that's the thing about religion. It's vague and no one really knows what it's about. But you only get to know and understand if you seek it. So embrace ignorance and accept your inability to know, Penitent One.